Fiorentina-Juventus. It's one of the calcio classics. From high-profile transfers to competing for domestic and international honours, there's plenty of history between these two storied clubs. In this latest chapter, however, both teams are under pressure and in need of a pick-me-up. While Fiorentina marched on to the final 8 of the Conference League in midweek, they currently sit 9th in Serie A. For their part, Juventus are smarting after their drubbing at home by Atalanta and need to bounce back in their quest to qualify for next term's Champions League. At the Artemio Franchi, it is Fiorentina against Juventus. Not a derby in the traditional sense, but it's a crunch match, and there's no love lost between the two sets of supporters. Now, there were even some doubts that this latest chapter would even be written after flash floods on Friday. Put this game at risk, but it's gone ahead, so Palladino will do battle with Thiago Motta, former teammates together at Genoa in 2008-2009 under Giampiero Gasperini. Palladino also one-time Juventus man, having also played in their infamous season in Serie B. And talking of Palladino, he has Mandragora back from suspension, and the midfielder takes his place alongside Juventus loanee Niccolò Fagioli in the middle of the park. Gudmundsson and Moise Kean once more lead the line, with the latter out to punish his one-time employers both home and away, having netted in Turin earlier this term. Tutti fermi così, we'll stay as we are, says Michael Fabri. Now for Juventus, Renato Vega and Pierre Kalulu come back into the rear guard, with Cambiaso and Gatti dropping to the bench. At the other end, Colomwani leads the line once more, meaning former Frankie favourite Dusan Vlahovic begins from the bench for the 11th time since the turn of the year across all competitions. Now there will be that minute silence for Joe Barone, but also Riccardo Agabbio. Amongst his other titles, he was president of the Italian Gymnastics Association, and he passed away earlier this week. Barone's family, wife and children, also inside the ground this evening. Sempre con noi, always with us, Joe Barone. His untimely passing just under a year ago. Last minute huddle then from Juventus. They need their team spirit. They need to dig deep after that bordering on humiliating defeat against Atalanta last week. Their heaviest home loss since 1967. Fiorentina want to pile on the misery and give their supporters something to cheer about after a negative run of results on the domestic front, at least 4 defeats in the past 5. Both teams lined up, ready and raring to go. Also caught a glimpse of Nicolò Fagioli, special game for him against his parent club. And we're underway, meeting 172 in Serie A between the storied outfits, an iconic fixture, a rivalry that peaked in the 1980s. Juventus pipping Fiorentina to the title on the final day of the 1982 season, and then going on to end the decade and start the new one by beating Fiorentina in the UEFA Cup final in 89-90. And shortly after, Roberto Baggio making that controversial move from Turin to Florence, angering the Fiorentina supporters who took to the streets to protest, one of several flashpoints in the never-ending rivalry between these two clubs. And Moise Kean, Fagioli and Nico Gonzalez, latest bit of business between these two clubs. And here is Nico Gonzalez, and if jeers and whistles from his former supporters. He's failed to set Turin alight so far, and he returned to his old stomping ground then. And get just his second league goal for Juventus. The first fixture ended 2-2, Moise Kean and Sotil on target for La Viola. Thuram netting twice for the Bianconeri, one of 54 draws down through the years in Serie A between Juventus and Fiorentina. Lovely touch for Nico Gonzalez. Now Weston McKennie. Nico Gonzalez. Still. Here's Timothy Weah. And Nicolò Fagioli's down. Cataldi's corner. It's still there by Robin Gosens. Fast becoming a Frankie icon. And should that prove to be the winner, he will cement his name in Fiorentina folklore. Robin Gosens gives Fiorentina the lead in this crunch match with their rivals Juventus. The Archer, Robin Gosens, arrowing in the opener. Fabulous finish on the rebound. The quickest to react. Di Gregorio rooted to the spot. May have taken a touch off Thuram on its way through. Ken jumping up. Gudmundsson. Fagioli. Chance here for number 2! Mandragora! Quick fire double from the Tuscans. The Fiorentina supporters are in dreamland. Not even 18 minutes gone. They're 2 goals to the good. And Juventus don't know what's hit them. He netted a stunner midweek, and he nets another big goal. Mandragora. Ken involved. Gudmundsson, Fagioli, the Juventus loanee, setting up the second. And we could be on course for a historic night for Fiorentina and another potential humiliation for Juventus. Filled in by Cope Miners, brought down here and off the line. After Vega having a go. Now McKennie. Weah from distance! It wasn't a bad effort either from Tim Weah. Only one who's been a goal threat really so far. It was Renato Vega's strike off the line. Renato Vega. Colomwani. McKennie will chase. Now Gosens. Colomwani. Here is Cope Miners. Fails to apply the finishing touch there. Dodo, plenty of options. Dodo goes for goal! Tried to surprise Di Gregorio. It whistled wide of the post. So there goes the half-time whistle. Fiorentina in complete control here. In this, for them, the mother of all matches, Mandragora netting the second goal for La Viola. His second in a matter of days after netting midweek in the Conference League. Robin Gosens getting Fiorentina off to a flyer, piling the pressure on Thiago Motta and his Juventus side here at the Franchi. At half-time then, it is Fiorentina 2, Juventus 0. And we are back underway, no changes from either side at the break. Yeah, David De Gea, very little to do in that first 45 minutes compared to last week at the Maradona when he was peppered with shot after shot. And he very much did keep Fiorentina in that game, even though he was at fault for the opener by Lukaku. Kalulu sweeps it upfield. Pablo Mari, who's on a yellow card. Locatelli, meanwhile, for the Bianconeri on a booking. A confirmation of Fiorentina's 3-5-2. McKennie. Thuram. Now Cope Miners. Wea. Nico Gonzalez. McKennie. Might fall for Colomwani. Doesn't quite fall, and the referee then gets in the way. Mandragora straight at Michael Fabri. Cope Miners. McKennie jumps up, and that's straight at De Gea from Renato Vega. Too simple for the Spanish keeper. And De Gea, Route 1 staff, Moise Kean. Kean to make it 3! Just spiralled wide from Moise Kean. Thumbs up. Najoli, Gudmundsson, space opening up here for Gudmundsson! It's a delicious finish! And the scoring streak goes on for Albert Gudmundsson. Third game in a row on target across all competitions, but this will be extra sweet against Juventus at the Franchi. And there can't be any way back now for Juventus. What a night for Fiorentina. And there's still more than 30 minutes to go. The space opened up for Gudmundsson, and he picked out the bottom corner. Nothing Di Gregorio could do. And he has turned the corner in recent weeks, Gudmundsson. And he's starting to endear himself to the Fiorentina faithful, and a goal against Juventus certainly won't harm his cause. Ken's through here. It must be number 4 for Ken! He nets home and away, or does he? Against the club where he first burst onto the scene. The referee with the arm outstretched. You can see Ken did start in an offside position. Thuram. Timwea. And it's headed wide. Gudmundsson doing his very best, trying to inspire a comeback here. Cambiaso, nice football. Cambiaso driving forward. Miners comes off Gosens. Gosens looking to play his part at both ends of the pitch tonight. Miners with that ball across, and Gosens just getting in the way. Taking away from the on-watching Gudmundsson. Killed in by Miners. De Gea puts a glove to it. Gudmundsson. Cambiaso. Gudmundsson. Fiorentina smartly just let that run. Mandragora for Ken! Goes wide. Wants to sound, then switches the play. Cambiaso. Thuram has found a pocket of space. Thuram, curling effort. Straight at De Gea. Far too central, far too tame. McKennie. Cambiaso beyond Dodot. Still with Cambiaso, just trying to power his way through. Dodot just lunging in there. Mandragora loses out. We're playing on. Gudmundsson now, shaping up to shoot. He's blocked. Nice touch off a Viola jersey, and Fiorentina fielder that Mandragora was fouled in the build-up. Fabio had a really good view of it, and he told the players to keep on playing on. Cambiaso just trying to muscle his way through there, and Dodot almost rugby style there. Seeing the Six Nations, which was in action also this weekend. Two bruising defeats in as many weeks for Juventus. Ken and company topple the Bianconeri. Mandragora, Gudmundsson and Gosens do the damage. Fiorentina return to winning ways after losing 4 of their previous 5. All talk of the title has been banished for Juventus. They have now slipped out of the top 4. They find themselves in 5th spot. And now Juventus have a job just to get back on course to qualify for the Champions League. The night belongs to Fiorentina. Great week at home and abroad for La Viola. Final score here, Fiorentina 3, Juventus 0, with the pressure piling up on Thiago Motta.